Charlotte Hall stands in the center of a grand chapel filled with fragrant white lilies and rows of distinguished guests. Her long satin gown shimmers under the muted glow of ornate chandeliers. In her trembling hands, she clutches a bouquet of calla lilies, once a symbol of purity and promise, now a fading hope. Across from her, Holden Cross, billionaire heir and revered philanthropist, stiffens in his custom-tailored tuxedo. Outside cameras click frantically. The invitation list included top executives, politicians, and high society friends. It was meant to be the wedding event of the season, the perfect union of wealth and heart. But something is off. Charlotte's face pales, her eyes dark with betrayal. She tightens her grip on the bouquet until her knuckles whiten. A single voice disrupts the hush. "Stop, Charlotte, don't do this. It's Darcy Lake, Holden's strikingly beautiful assistant." She rushes forward, her stiletto heels echoing on the marble floor. Confusion ripples through the crowd. A few phones flash toward the altar, capturing this bizarre moment. Holden's dark gaze darts between Charlotte and Darcy as if caught in a trap. "Darcy," he mutters through clenched teeth, "this isn't your place." But Darcy doesn't retreat. Instead, she lifts her phone, tears glittering in her eyes. "You need to see what he's been hiding," she rasps, her voice trembling. "You all do." Before Charlotte can comprehend, Darcy flicks her thumb across the phone screen. A hush intensifies. On the massive display behind the altar, originally intended for a live feed of the wedding footage, begins to play. The images are shaky yet damning. Holden stepping out of a luxury SUV late at night, arms around another woman's waist, whispering intimately as they slip into a penthouse. A collective gasp shudders through the chapel. Charlotte's heartbeat pounds in her ears. She's 4 months pregnant, carrying Holden's child, and had believed every single vow he made. Tears burn her eyes. The world spins as she wrestles with confusion, heartbreak, and the bitter truth that everything she's built her life on might be a lie. Suddenly, the overhead lights flicker. Electricity surges and the video clip ends with a glitch. A wave of tension crackles through the guests. Cameras and phones are raised like a volley of tiny weapons, documenting each instant of devastation. Holden storms toward Darcy, his voice a menacing whisper. "You're finished." She doesn't flinch. "No," Darcy says quietly. "You are." Charlotte's eyes sweep over the well-dressed crowd, her mother Linda Hall frozen in shock. Her best friend Harriet standing with her hands over her mouth. Then she stares at Holden. "Is it true?" she asks, voice shaking, hand instinctively resting on her lower abdomen. He says nothing, face rigid. In that suspended moment, Charlotte rips the veil from her hair, the tulle floating to the floor in slow motion. With a trembling hand, she lets her bouquet slip from her grasp. The flowers scatter on the polished marble. She turns away from the altar. The scandal, the heartbreak, the betrayal. Everyone sees it, they can't look away. Charlotte doesn't give them a choice. She flees down the aisle, tears blurring her vision, and that's just the beginning. 3 hours later, Charlotte sits in the bridal suite, the hush broken only by muffled obs. The lavish decor, velvet drapes, gilded mirrors, a wide vanity cluttered with untouched makeup mocks her. She is still in her wedding gown, the train bunched at her feet like a discarded tapestry of broken dreams. Harriet, her lifelong friend, kneels by her side, smoothing the wrinkles in the satin. "Char, talk to me," she whispers. But Charlotte's mind is miles away, replaying the humiliating spectacle at the altar. The betrayal stings even more because her unborn child is connected to Holden forever. Linda Hall. Charlotte's mother rushes in with tears in her eyes. The lines on her face deepen with worry. "Sweetheart, everyone's outside, the guests, they're confused." She glances at Harriet, uncertain. Most have left, but the paparazzi. Charlotte lifts her gaze, her voice quivering. "Let them watch," she says bitterly. "I can't pretend everything's fine." Moments later, Martin Carver, the family's longtime attorney, enters quietly. His expression is grave. "Charlotte, Linda," he addresses them. "The media is outside asking for a statement. But more importantly, Holden's team has contacted me." He adjusts his tie, clearly uncomfortable. "They're suggesting you proceed with a small, private signing. No formal ceremony, just to protect certain business deals." A stunned silence thickens the air. Harriet's eyes flare with outrage. He cheats on her, humiliates her in front of the world, and now he wants a business arrangement. Martin's jaw tenses. Holden stands to lose significant backing from his board. "If this wedding..." He hesitates, searching for a kinder phrase. "If this arrangement falls apart." They were counting on a stable family image for an upcoming merger. The pregnancy is key to that image. Linda exhales shakily. Unbelievable. So they want Charlotte to just sign papers and pretend nothing happened. Charlotte meets Martin's gaze. Her voice is suddenly steel. I will not marry someone who lies to my face, she says. I won't be used as a pawn just because I'm pregnant. Martin nods, sympathy in his eyes. I understand, but Holden is powerful. His board will fight to secure his reputation, and the child might become a bargaining chip. A flicker of dread crosses Charlotte's eyes. She places a trembling hand on her stomach. Could the father of her baby truly see them as tools for his corporate survival? She forces herself to stand. Let them come for me. They already took my dignity in front of the entire city. I won't give them the rest of my life. Harriet stands, fists clenched. We'll fight back, Char. You have people who love you. Charlotte's heart aches, but a spark of resilience emerges. She will not be bullied into submission. She glances at herself in the mirror, seeing the runny mascara and the sorrow etched across her face. But beneath that heartbreak, there's a core of steel first, Charlotte says with shaky determination. I need to face him, then we figure out what's next. Martin arranges a short, tense meeting between Charlotte and Holden in a hidden corridor of the chapel. She stands near a stained glass window that casts distorted colors on her gown. Holden approaches flanked by his personal assistant, not Darcy but a different staff member, wearing an anxious expression. He appears stoic, but his eyes betray a flicker of panic. Charlotte, he begins, a voice hushed. I never wanted you to find out this way. She clenches her jaw. You never wanted me to find out at all. That's the problem. He exhales, glancing away. The woman in the video, that was a one-time mistake. It happened before I even proposed. You have to understand, I couldn't let anything jeopardize the partnership with Strathmore Industries. We needed. Charlotte's voice cracks. You needed me to stand by you pregnant, so your board would finalize some twisted business deal. His silence speaks volumes. She steps closer, eyes blazing. I loved you and I believed you when you said you wanted a family. Was any of that real? Or was it just part of your corporate plan? He opens his mouth, then closes it, searching for words that won't come. Footsteps echo as Harriet and Martin keep watch from a distance. Holden's assistant looks like he'd rather vanish than witness this meltdown. Finally, Holden reaches out as if to touch Charlotte's hand. She recoils. Don't she, warns? He lowers his voice. Let's not be rash. We can still... He pauses, choosing his words. Make it work. My board, my investors, they're expecting stability. If we can't keep up appearances, I stand to lose everything. You and the baby will be taken care of. Don't throw that away. Charlotte feels her chest tighten, the audacity. You think I'd stay for your money? She draws a shaky breath. We're done. I won't let my child be your golden ticket. I would rather walk away with nothing than stay with a liar. His lips flatten. She's never seen him so helpless. But the pity that might have surfaced is drowned out by betrayal. Think this through, Holden impresses. You're pregnant, Charlotte. The world knows that child is mine. If you walk away, it becomes messy for both of us. A flash of fear twists in her gut. She pictures lawsuits, custody battles, the unrelenting paparazzi. But Harriet's voice cuts through the fear. Charlotte owes you nothing. Harriet steps in, shoulders back. You set this entire farce up, and you're surprised she's leaving. Holden's assistant finally speaks, stammering, Sir, maybe we should discuss this with your father. We can reorganize the contract. Shut up! Holden snaps, then turns to Charlotte, voice dropping to near desperation. At least talk to me privately. Let me explain. But Charlotte's mind is set. We have nothing left to say. She brushes past him, her train dragging across the marble floor. Her tears blur the stained glass reflections. She feels battered by heartbreak, but also resolute. In the pit of her stomach, the baby shifts, an unsettling reminder that no matter what she does, Holden Cross will still be part of her life in some way. Yet there's no turning back now. The injustice is too deep. This is the line she refuses to cross as Charlotte exits the chapel's hidden corridor. A hush settles over the staff who've lingered to clean up the aftermath of the canceled wedding. Dozens of empty chairs remain in neat rows. Ribbons and petals scattered like confetti from a war zone of broken vows. The overhead lights dim. Outside, paparazzi bulbs continue to flash. Standing in the foyer, Harriet loops an arm around Charlotte protectively. We'll slip out the side door, she murmurs. There's a car waiting. Charlotte nods numbly. Her heart feels like shattered glass. She's aware of Martin trailing behind them, speaking in hushed tones on his phone, probably scheduling damage control, or maybe bracing for the legal storm looming on the horizon. Before they can depart, someone steps from the shadows. Ward Donnelly, a high-ranking board member of Cross Holdings. He's the quiet observer who's attended the entire debacle with cool detachment. A lean man in his 50s, Ward exudes authority. He blocks Charlotte's path, his face neutral. "My condolences," he says softly, though there's a sharpness to his tone. "Not the outcome we expected." Harriet stiffens. Ooh, Ward casts a sidelong glance at Harriet, then focuses on Charlotte. "I'm sorry about your heartbreak. However, I represent shareholders who stand to lose a fortune if Holden fails to secure certain mergers." His gaze drifts to Charlotte's abdomen. "This child is important to us." Charlotte's eyes widen. Anger surfacing. "My child is not a commodity for your corporate games." He nods unfazed. "I understand your perspective. But keep in mind the Cross family is powerful. If they decide to fight you for custody or defame your character, it could be complicated." Harriet is about to lash out, but Charlotte's trembling voice interrupts. "Are you threatening me?" A warning word says calmly, adjusting his expensive cufflinks. "We hope for cooperation. If not, well, let's just say we can make life difficult, but work with us, and you'll have financial security beyond your dreams." She doesn't bother hiding her disgust. "Get out of my way," without waiting for a response. Harriet tugs Charlotte's arm, and they skirt around Ward. Martin quickly steps between them to block any further intimidation. The trio hurriedly makes their way to a side entrance. A wave of humid summer air envelops them. Photographers swarm like vultures near the main door, but Harriet's car is discreetly parked around the corner. Within moments, they're on the road driving away from the chapel that was supposed to host Charlotte's fairy tale wedding. Charlotte stares out the window. The city lights blur into neon streaks. Her mind replays Ward's words. "If not, we can make your life difficult." She's shaken but refuses to fold. Harriet's voice is gentle. "We'll talk to your mother. Figure out the next steps. This isn't over." Martin leans forward from the passenger seat. "Charlotte, you need a strategy. Holden's board isn't bluffing. You need to protect yourself and the baby." Charlotte nods mutely, heart pounding. She once believed love conquered all. Now the reality is stark. She faces a ruthless corporate empire determined to treat her unborn child as a business asset, and that empire has resources she can't begin to match. It's an injustice she never imagined. Yet somewhere under the fear, a spark of defiance glows. She won't let them steal her life or her baby, not without a fight. A week later, Charlotte sits at her mother's small suburban home far from the city's skyscrapers. The living room is cozy with floral curtains and framed photographs of simpler times. She has traded the wedding gown for faded jeans and an oversized sweater. But the tension in her posture remains. Linda Hall pours tea into delicate cups, a family heirloom set that belonged to Charlotte's late grandmother. Harriet is here too, flipping anxiously through tabloids splashed with Charlotte's tear-streaked face. Billionaire's bride cancels wedding. Mid-ceremony scandal. Rocks. Cross Holdings. Harriet grimaces. "They don't care about your pain. Just the spectacle." Charlotte lifts her teacup, hands shaking slightly. "Let them write what they want." Her eyes flicker with exhaustion. "I'm done trying to control public opinion." Linda reaches out, covering Charlotte's hand. "I know you're hurting, sweetie, but you need to be careful. People like Holden don't just back off." Charlotte takes a slow breath, letting the scent of chamomile calm her nerves. "I can't believe I was so blind. I spent months thinking I'd found the man of my dreams. All the while he was weaving me into a business deal." Harriet sets the tabloids aside. "Char, do you want me to track down Darcy Lake? She might have more dirt on Holden that could protect you if his board comes after you." Darcy. Linda frowns. "She's the one who showed the video, right?" The rumored mistress. Charlotte nods grimly. "Yes, though she was also the messenger. She risked her job to expose Holden. She might be my only ally in that circle." A moment passes in silence. The old grandfather clock in the corner ticks softly. Finally, Linda forces a sad smile. "Before your father passed, he told me never to let the wealthy define our worth. We have integrity. That's what matters." Charlotte's gaze drifts to a framed photo. A younger version of her father, arms around a teenage Charlotte, both beaming at the camera. The memory stirs old wounds. She lost him to a heart attack 5 years ago. If he were alive, would he have seen through Holden's charade from the start? She swallows the knot in her throat. "I can't just let them roll over me. I have to fight." Harriet brightens. "Yes, That's the spirit. We'll talk to Martin about a plan. But Linda's eyes reflect worry. Honey, keep in mind these corporate players can get ruthless. They might try to spin a narrative that you're unstable, or say the child might not be. Holden's Charlotte stiffens. Her mother's words ring with possibility. She thinks of how easily corporations buy silence or distort the truth. Whatever they try, I won't hide. This baby deserves a mother who won't back down. Harriet places a supportive hand on Charlotte's shoulder. We're with you always. Outside, the autumn sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in dusky pink. Charlotte closes her eyes for a moment, inhaling the warmth of her mother's house. In that comfort, she acknowledges the deep pain from her past, her father's death, her trust issues from a previous toxic relationship. She's not the naive woman she once was. This time, she won't be a victim. She'll protect her unborn child and herself no matter what it costs. 2 days later, Harriet arranges a discreet meeting with Darcy Lake at a quiet diner on the outskirts of town. Charlotte sits in a corner booth sipping ice water, her nerves coiled. The diner's fluorescent lights flicker, illuminating Darcy's anxious face as she slips into the seat opposite Charlotte. Darcy looks different from the day of the wedding fiasco. Her expensive clothes are replaced by a plain sweater and jeans. Dark circles under her eyes suggest sleepless nights. Charlotte wastes no time. You left me humiliated at my own wedding. Why blow everything up, then disappear? Darcy exhales, clasping her hands. I couldn't keep being complicit. I found out Holden and the board had an entire plan revolving around you. My conscience, it was too much. So I leaked the video to force the truth out. Her eyes flicked toward the diner's entrance, as if expecting to be followed. I lost my job, my apartment in the city. They made sure I was blacklisted from every major firm. Harriet bristles. Of course they did. You humiliated a powerful man on his big day. Darcy's voice trembles. I'm not proud of having an affair with Holden. But it started before he even met you, Charlotte. He told me we'd be together once he secured a child for the Cross family line. He never intended to be a loving husband. It was all about the board's demands for a stable next generation. Charlotte's stomach churns. The betrayal cuts even deeper. But at least she has clarity. So you exposed him, but you also destroyed me in the process. Darcy nods, regret etched on her face. I know. And I'm sorry, but you had a right to know. If I hadn't, he'd have locked you into that marriage, used you and the baby, and eventually tossed you aside. Harriet looks as if she wants to punch the table. Holden across is worse than we thought. Charlotte sighs her hand, instinctively moving over her growing belly. I can't let him or his board manipulate my child. So what can you offer me now? Darcy reaches into her bag, pulling out a flash drive. I managed to save company emails, hidden contracts, financial statements. It's a roadmap of how the Cross Empire operates under the table. Bribes, hush money, everything. Her eyes shine with a hint of pride. It's enough to give you leverage against them, at least if they try to take your baby or smear your name. Charlotte takes the flash drive, heart pounding. This is more than she expected, but it's also a dangerous card to hold. Thank you, she whispers, struggling to hold back tears of anger and relief. Darcy looks away, voice subdued. All I ask is that you help me. If they come for me, my life's in shambles. I have no job, no protection, and Holden has powerful friends everywhere. Charlotte inhales her moral compass, wavering. Darcy is partly responsible for her heartbreak. Yet Darcy's also a victim, and now an ally with valuable intel. I can't promise a miracle, but I won't let them destroy you if I can help, Charlotte finally says. In that cramped diner booth, a new perspective forms. Holden's betrayal isn't a personal failing alone. It's part of a calculated corporate-driven scheme, and Darcy, once the other woman, might be Charlotte's only chance to protect herself and her unborn child. Later that night, Charlotte returns home. She stands in her mother's modest living room with Harriet and Martin Carver. The lawyer, a single lamp glows, casting long shadows across the walls. The flash drive Darcy gave her sits on the coffee table like a ticking bomb. Harriet perches on the edge of the couch, arms folded. We can use this to bury Holden if we want. Martin runs a hand through his salt and pepper hair. We have to be cautious. That data might have been obtained illegally. If we wave it around in court, the Cross legal team could shift the focus to hacking or corporate espionage. Charlotte paces back and forth. She's torn. On one hand, she wants justice, an end to the arrogance that Holden Cross and his board flaunt. On the other, she doesn't want to start a war she can't finish. I don't want to become like them. she murmurs. I just want to protect my baby. Ensure they can't force me into some twisted custody arrangement. Harriet stands, placing a supportive hand on Charlotte's shoulder. You have every right to fight fire with fire. Martin sighs. Maybe we don't go nuclear unless we have to, but it's good to have a backup plan. Charlotte nods slowly, heart heavy. I also told Darcy I'd try to help her if she's hunted by Cross Holdings. She has no one else. Martin shrugs. We can include some protective clause in any negotiation. But let's be realistic. Once we confront them, it's war. He locks eyes with Charlotte. Are you ready for that? Silence hangs in the room. Charlotte thinks of her unborn child's future, the nightmares that wake her in the early hours. She thinks of the father she lost, the quiet strength he taught her. She thinks of how unstoppable Holden seemed when they first met, a charming billionaire with a silver tongue. Now she sees he's just a puppet for even bigger forces. She straightens her posture. Yes, she says, voice firm. I won't be bullied. If they come for me, I'll fight back with everything I have. Martin allows a small smile. Okay, I'll prepare some legal strategies. We can file for child support. Name Holden as the father and impose conditions that protect you. If they push for custody, we'll respond with what Darcy provided. Harriet grabs her phone, excitement sparking. So we're going on the offensive. Charlotte exhales a mix of fear and resolve. It's not about revenge. It's about ensuring my baby grows up free from their manipulation. At that, Linda peeks into the room. Worry etched on her face. You do what you must, Charlotte. Your father would be proud of how strong you have become. Charlotte's eyes burn with tears she refuses to shed. Strength. She hasn't felt strong in days, but if they're going to force her hand, she'll stand tall for the child resting under her heart. She flicks off the lamp. Darkness blankets the living room, broken only by the faint streetlight from outside. Tomorrow she'll call Holden's attorneys, prepare for battle. Her mind roils with dread, but she can't let them see her fear, because now she understands this is bigger than heartbreak. This is a fight for her child's future and for her own integrity. Charlotte is awakened by her phone buzzing on the nightstand. It's just past dawn. Groggy, she answers to hear Harriet's panicked voice. Have you seen the news? They're saying you've been hiding a secret ex who might be the real Father Cross. Holdings is behind it. I'm sure. Charlotte's heart jolts. She scrambles to open a tabloid site on her phone. The headline reads, Scorned Bride's Double Life. Sources claim child may not be Holden's. The article cites unnamed insiders suggesting Charlotte was involved with a former boyfriend before meeting Holden. She hangs up, rage and fear swirling. She can already predict the effect, people doubting her. Holden possibly using these rumors in court. Out of reflex, she checks her social media flooded with hateful comments and speculation. Her body shakes. She reminds herself to breathe for the baby's sake. Linda rushes into the room. Charlotte, Harriet just called me. Are you all right? No, but I will be, Charlotte says, though her voice cracks. She calls Martin, who picks up after several rings. We need to file a defamation suit or something. They're painting me as a liar who's using Holden for money. Martin sighs audible. Yes, I've seen it, but defamation suits can be lengthy and complicated. We need concrete proof that these rumors are false and that the Cross camp orchestrated them. Charlotte's voice wavers. They want me to surrender, to sign some agreement so they can pretend the child might not be Holden's unless I comply. This is their blackmail. Martin responds gently. I'll see what I can do. For now, stay calm. We'll schedule a paternity test if needed. Don't let them rattle you. Hanging up. Charlotte fights tears. The emotional toll is crushing. She feels the swirl of morning sickness triggered by stress. Yet ironically, it steals her resolve. If they want to drag her name through the mud, she'll fight harder. But the day only gets worse. Harriet sends a text. Your old landlord just called. Reporters are swarming. They claim you owe back rent. Another blow perhaps orchestrated to smear Charlotte's finances. Then Linda announces that suspicious men in suits knocked at the door, claiming to be journalists pressing for statements. By evening, Charlotte is drained. She sits on the couch, hands protectively over her belly. Harriet rubs her shoulder. This is exactly the environment they want. Exhaust you so you'll give up. Charlotte closes her eyes, tears slipping. I feel like I'm losing everything. My privacy, my reputation. It's all being destroyed. Piece by piece, Harriet's tone is fierce. You're not alone. Let them do their worst. We'll respond. Still, the weight is crushing. Charlotte can't help but feel a taste of defeat. She wonders if maybe she should have just signed a quiet settlement, let them have their way. The baby flips inside her as if protesting that thought. Wiping her tears, Charlotte steels herself. She'll endure this personal destruction, but she won't give in. Beneath the heartbreak and the public disgrace lies a deeper flame. If the Cross Empire wants war, so be it, but the cost is her heartbreak, her sense of safety, and the life she once knew. 2 days later, Harriet arranges a small gathering at a local community center. It's a quiet, unassuming place, folding chairs, modest decor, then the faint smell of coffee brewing in the back. When Charlotte arrives, she's surprised to find a group of women waiting, many with gentle smiles. Harriet whispers, "They're single mothers I've met through volunteer work. They want to show you that you have allies." Charlotte hesitates by the doorway. She's been so consumed by her own turmoil that she never imagined strangers offering solidarity. A woman in her 40s. Naomi steps forward. "Charlotte, we know bits of what you're going through. Different circumstances, but same fear. We just want you to know you're not alone." Tears prick Charlotte's eyes. She sits among them, listening to stories of legal battles, financial hardships, custody fights. While the details differ, the emotional core resonates: heartbreak, fear for the children, determination to stand tall. It's a relief to speak openly away from paparazzi and tabloids. Charlotte confides her anxieties about Holden's power, the smear campaign, and the unborn baby caught in the middle. The women nod sympathetically, offering practical advice, a recommended family counselor strategies for dealing with intrusive media, and emotional coping tips. Naomi mentions a local father's advocacy group that might help too. "Not all men are like Holden," she says. "If you find decent folks willing to speak on your behalf, it could show a court. You're stable, well supported." The small glimmer of hope warms Charlotte's chest. She stands to thank them, voice unsteady with gratitude. "I've felt so alone. I can't thank you enough. You've given me a reminder that people do care." On the ride home, Harriet smiles gently. "Feel a bit stronger now." Charlotte leans her head back against the seat, a weary smile tugging at her lips. "Yeah, I do. Hearing their stories made me see that no matter how powerful Holden is, people have faced worse and survived." Harriet's phone buzzes. She glances at the screen. It's Martin. He wants to schedule a meeting, says he has news about the paternity test arrangement. Charlotte's heart clenches. "They're going to push that angle. I know it." Harriet nods. "Probably, but we'll handle it." In that moment, Charlotte senses a shift. Her despair is still there, but it's mingled with a flicker of confidence. She's not helpless. She has Harriet Martin, her mother, and now an unexpected network of supporters who have braved their own storms. She looks out the window at the passing city streets. Sunlight falls through the clouds in soft rays like hope shining through uncertainty. The baby nudges in her belly again, a quiet reminder of why she's fighting. She refuses to let fear overshadow her love for this child. The realization hits, she can't do this alone, and she doesn't have to. The community around her, however small, is her lifeline. For the first time since the wedding catastrophe, Charlotte believes she can rise again, one step, one day at a time. And if the Cross Empire wants to continue waging war, they'll find she has an army too, even if it's formed by everyday people with big hearts and unwavering grit. Bright and early the next morning, Charlotte decides to make the first move. With Martin by her side, she arrives at the Cross Holdings headquarters, an imposing skyscraper of steel and glass that towers over the city skyline. Her pulse quickens as she walks through the revolving doors. She's stepping into the lion's den, but this time she's not running. The lobby exudes wealth and prestige: marble floors, ornate chandeliers, and a massive artwork depicting a stylized hawk, the cross family crest. Security guards eye her, but Martin strides confidently to the front desk. "We have an appointment with the legal department," he says. The receptionist lifts an eyebrow, but calls upstairs. Soon they are escorted to a top-floor conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the city below. Ward Donnelly is already there, sipping an espresso. His expression is calm, predatory. Next to him is Candace Miles, head counsel for Cross Holdings, her suit impeccable and her smile chillingly polite. Martin places a folder on the sleek conference table. "We want to set the record straight. We suspect Cross Holdings is behind malicious rumors aimed at undermining Charlotte's credibility. We also have reason to believe you plan to challenge the paternity of her child." Ward sets down his espresso. "Ms. Hull insists the baby is Holden's, so a paternity test should pose no threat, correct?" Martin's eyes narrow. "We'll comply if it's done by an independent lab, We also demand that any false claims about Charlotte's personal life be retracted publicly. Candace glances at Ward, then turns back to Martin. That's a large demand, given the magnitude of press coverage, but we'll consider it. Of course we'll want something in return. Charlotte finally speaks, voice steady, despite her racing heart. What exactly agreed to a formal visitation schedule once the child is born? Candace says smoothly, and no further public statements disparaging Holden or this company. Her gaze flickers to Martin. If we find Charlotte has engaged in defamation, Charlotte cuts in. I only speak the truth. Ward smirks, then leans forward. Truth is subjective, Ms. Hall. Remember, we have resources to prove otherwise if you cross the line. Martin clears his throat. You're forgetting something, he says, sliding over a printed spreadsheet. Cross Holdings' hidden accounts, questionable transactions, and hush money, payouts if any more defamation surfaces against Charlotte. These details might find their way into the press. He meets Ward's eyes calmly. We can all lose in a public mudslinging match, but Cross Holdings has a lot more to lose financially. Ward's smirk falters. Candace's jaw tightens. Charlotte exhales relief and adrenaline coursing through her veins. She watches them process the reality. She's not as powerless as they assumed. She came prepared using the data Darcy gave her. This is her small but decisive action, a show of strength. Eventually, Candace forces a measured nod. We'll need time to review these, and we must consult with Mr. Cross. But rest assured, we want an amicable solution. Martin stands. We'll wait for your response. But any more attacks on Charlotte and we go public with everything. As Charlotte leaves the conference room, her legs feel shaky, but her spirit soars. She's finally taken a step forward, showing them she can't be easily crushed. For a brief moment, hope sparks in her chest. Perhaps she can carve out a future where her baby is protected and she isn't the victim of Holden's corporate machine. Later that evening, Charlotte paces in her mother's living room. Harriet and Martin flank her, waiting for a phone call from Cross Holdings regarding the outcome of their confrontation. Each minute feels like a lifetime. Finally, Martin's phone buzzes. He puts it on speaker. Candace Miles's cool voice comes through. We've reviewed your demands. Mr. Cross is willing to publicly refute the rumors regarding Ms. Hall's ex-boyfriend, provided we proceed with a paternity test under mutual observation. We also agree to forego any custody challenges if Mr. Cross is ensured reasonable visitation once the child is born. Charlotte's shoulders relax. A wave of relief washes over her. Thank you, she says, cautious but hopeful. Candace continues. However, there is one condition. Holden wants a personal meeting with Charlotte. He insists on discussing certain emotional matters before finalizing anything. No lawyers present, Martin frowns. That's unusual. Why? Candace's tone remains smooth. He wants closure, or so he says. If Mrs. Hall refuses, our agreement might stall. The line goes dead. Harriet curses under her breath. He's trying to corner you alone. Charlotte gnaws her lip, anxiety spiking. But the promise of a public retraction is huge. It means clearing her name and ensuring the baby's legitimacy isn't questioned. After a moment, she nods. I'll do it. I'll meet him. Martin looks uncomfortable. Are you sure he might try to manipulate you? Charlotte steels herself. I'm sure. I need to look him in the eye anyway. Finish this for good. 2 days later, Charlotte arrives at a private suite in a luxury hotel, Holden's chosen location. The suite is opulent plush carpets, floor-to-ceiling windows, with a panoramic view of the city skyline. Holden waits by a marble fireplace, hands clasped behind his back. He greets her with a curt nod, a veneer of remorse in his eyes. Thank you for coming. Charlotte stands stiffly, arms crossed over her growing belly. Get to the point. Holden exhales, crossing the room in measured steps. I'm sorry for everything, he begins. I never intended to humiliate you. The board forced my hand. They demanded an heir or else I'd lose controlling interest. I handled it poorly. That's on me. Charlotte's heartbeat thuds. She searches his gaze for sincerity but sees only a well-practiced speech. No excuses, she replies. You told me you loved me while you had another plan. You never even apologized when you had the chance. He looks away, tension in his jaw. I was angry, cornered. But understand, Charlotte, you still have feelings for me. She cuts him off with a bitter laugh. You think I'd still love you after what you did? Holden's face tightens. Then let's discuss the baby. I do care about our child's future, no matter how twisted the circumstances. If you let me be part of its life, we can maintain civility. She eyes him warily. We'll have a legal agreement. I'll allow visitation, but you won't manipulate me again. Holden steps closer, voice lowering. But you still need me financially. Do you really want to raise a child alone with no resources? I can give our child the world. Charlotte's gut twists. He's trying to reassert dominance. She clenches her fists. I'll survive. I'm not that desperate. Suddenly, Holden's phone buzzes. He glances at the screen, his expression hardening. I have to take this. One moment. He steps aside, voice hushed. Charlotte notices a folder on the coffee table, Cross Holdings letterhead. Her curiosity piqued. She edges closer. The top page mentions her name. She picks it up, scanning quickly. Her eyes widen. They plan to contest the paternity if a second test secretly done proves negative. But how? She's certain the baby is Holden's. Holden ends the call. Charlotte spins around furious. What is this? Another smear tactic to label me a liar. He looks caught off guard. Charlotte, that's just a contingency, the board insisted. She hurls the folder aside. You promised to publicly refute rumors. Instead, you're planning a backup plan to claim the baby isn't yours. Unbelievable. In that moment, her renewed hope shatters. Holden's upper hand is revealed. She storms out, tears burning her eyes. All the so-called sincerity was a performance. She's no closer to resolution than before. That night, Charlotte sits alone in her old bedroom. The pastel wallpaper and childhood furniture contrast sharply with the storm raging in her mind. She left Holden's suite enraged and terrified. If Cross Holdings tries to declare the paternity test invalid or manipulates results, she could lose everything. She flips through the documents Darcy gave her. Lines of transactions, hidden deals. Could they also fake medical records? Possibly they have the power and money to bribe labs. Her phone buzzes, startling her. It's Darcy Lake, Charlotte answers with caution. Hello. Darcy's voice is shaky. I have new information. She breathes heavily. Holden reached out to me again. He begged me to retract my statements about the affair. Said he'd pay me, give me a new job, but that's not the worst part. Charlotte's fingers clench around the phone. What else? He hinted that the board has arranged to sabotage the official paternity test. Something about using a sample from a relative who shares partial DNA. If they can't discredit you directly, they'll produce a test that proves the baby isn't Holden's. Charlotte's face pales. That would devastate her case. Are you certain I overheard it in a phone call with Ward Donnelly? Darcy whispers. They're planning to do it soon, maybe within the next week. Charlotte's free hand trembles. Her mind races. We can't let that happen. I need a lab we can trust, or I need to expose them before they do it. Darcy's voice cracks. I feel guilty that I was ever part of this twisted web. I want to help. I can testify about the plot. I kept screenshots, recordings. Charlotte exhales in relief. Darcy, that could be crucial, but you'll be risking everything. Darcy sniffles. I have nothing left to lose after hanging up. Charlotte dials Harriet and Martin for an emergency meeting. In less than an hour, they gather in Harriet's apartment. The living room is cramped but brimming with tension. Darcy arrives, last hooded coat draped around her, clutching a phone loaded with audio clips. She plays a snippet of a muffled conversation between Ward Donnelly and an unknown collaborator. Yes, we use a half-sibling's DNA. That should tip the results. A direct match is out of the question. She'll never see it coming. Make sure the lab is on our payroll. Harriet's eyes nearly pop out. These monsters are rewriting reality to protect their empire. Martin rubs his temples. This is more than just corporate arrogance. It's fraud, possibly criminal. If we present this to a judge, it could explode in the crossboard's face. Charlotte sits on the edge of the sofa, a swirl of relief and horror swirling in her gut. She finally has proof of their conspiracy, but confronting them might unleash a bigger storm. Darcy sets her phone on the coffee table, wiping tears. I know I'm partly to blame for what happened to you, but let me do this. Let me stand with you, quietly. Charlotte covers Darcy's hand with hers. Thank you. This changes everything. We'll expose them. In that moment, the lines are drawn. Charlotte and Darcy, once bitter adversaries, now share a common goal. With the truth in hand, they have the power to topple Holden's manipulative scheme. But the most dangerous confrontation still lies ahead. 2 days later, in a packed county courthouse, Charlotte and her allies make their stand. The atmosphere buzzes with tension. Spectators whisper. Reporters line the back rows, hungry for the next headline. In the Cross-Holdings saga, Holden sits at the defendant's table with Candace Miles and 2 other high-profile attorneys. Ward Donnelly lurks behind them, arms crossed, a perpetual scowl carved into his features. Charlotte tries not to tremble under their gaze. She's here for an emergency hearing to ensure a fair, uncontaminated paternity test and to request immediate legal protection from further harassment. Martin begins presenting an overview of the intimidation and smear campaign orchestrated by Cross Holdings. Then he calls Darcy Lake to the stand. A hush falls. Darcy steps up, eyes darting nervously at Holden. She testifies about the affair, the board's demand for an heir, and how they plan to manipulate test results. As she plays the recorded audio in front of the judge, gasps ripple through the courtroom. Holden's lawyers scramble to object, calling it illegally obtained evidence, but the judge allows a preliminary hearing of it. Candace stands face tight. This so-called evidence is irrelevant. Cross Holdings has no reason to falsify a paternity test. Ms. Lake has a personal vendetta after losing her job. Martin counters, voice steady. Then you won't mind if we use an independent lab of the court's choosing, correct? The judge, a stern woman with silver hair, looks to Candace. Counselor, you can either agree to the independent test now, or I issue an injunction to freeze certain Cross Holdings activities until we investigate further. Which will it be? Candace's jaw flexes. She confers with Holden, who looks livid, then mutters, we'll agree to an independent test, a collective exhale. Martin moves to the next point. Additionally, we request a restraining order against intimidation tactics. Ms. Hall has endured. Slander, harassment, and I object, Candace shouts, but the judge's raised hand silences her. Holden's face darkens. He leans over to whisper fiercely to Candace. She nods, addressing the court. We'll cease all contact with Ms. Hall outside the proper legal channels. The judge raps her gavel, then it's settled. We'll reconvene once the independent test is complete and Ms. Hall's allegations of intimidation are thoroughly reviewed. As Charlotte stands, relief floods her. It feels like a victory, like the Cross Empire is finally in check. The press converges, cameras flashing. Harriet gives Charlotte a tight hug. Martin claps a hand on her shoulder, quietly proud. Holden steps forward, expression unreadable. You've won this round, Charlotte, he mutters under his breath. But be careful. You're making powerful enemies. Charlotte holds his gaze. I'm not afraid anymore, she says firmly, though her heart pounds. I'll do anything for my child. Outside, the media swarms. Darcy and Harriet whisk Charlotte away before more invasive questions can be hurled. They duck into a waiting car, hearts pounding with adrenaline. A wave of cautious optimism settles in. The villain Holden Cross seems cornered. They're one step closer to ensuring the baby's recognized rights. But as the car pulls away, Martin's phone pings with a single message from an unknown number. He reads it. Eyes widening, the text says, you think you've won, but we're not finished. The next move will destroy everything she cherishes. He doesn't show Charlotte yet. She's fragile, and he wants to let her savor this small triumph. But the seeds of dread are already planted. Someone hasn't played their final card. 3 weeks later, Charlotte stands in the middle of her baby's nursery. She's painting pastel clouds on the pale blue walls. Sunlight streams through the window, illuminating her growing belly. The scent of fresh paint mingles with hope. Much has happened since the courtroom victory. The judge ordered a court-appointed lab for the paternity test. Under strict supervision, Charlotte and Holden provided samples. As everyone expected, the results confirmed, Holden is the father. With that, the smear campaign questioning her baby's parentage fizzled Cross. Holdings has gone silent. No new attacks, no more rumors. Candace Miles even issued a sparse statement confirming there is no doubt regarding the paternity of Ms. Hall's unborn child. While it wasn't the heartfelt retraction Charlotte might have wished for, it ends. The public speculation. Harriet peeks into the nursery. It's looking so cute, she says, gazing at the painted clouds. Gives me daydream vibes. Charlotte smiles softly. I've always loved the idea of a sky theme, like endless possibilities for my baby. Linda steps in carrying a tray of lemonade. You need to stay hydrated, honey. Remember your iron levels. Charlotte sets down the paintbrush and accepts a glass. Thanks, Mom. She sips, then glances at Harriet. Any news from Darcy? Harriet nods. She's found a part-time job, thanks to Martin's referral. She's laying low, but said she feels safer now that you both stood up to Cross Holdings. A gentle warmth blossoms in Charlotte's chest. Despite the turmoil, she's found unexpected allies. Even Darcy, once the other woman, he has become part of the strange mosaic of support that helps Charlotte stand tall. They head into the living room. Martin is there reviewing paperwork. He looks up with a grin. I have finalized the visitation agreement. It grants Holden limited scheduled visits after the baby is born, supervised at first until we see how he behaves. Charlotte nods. A pang hits her heart. She never wanted to raise her child in a fractured family, but at least the legal framework is set to protect them. What about cross-holdings? She asked quietly. Will they keep hounding me? Martin shrugs. With the recordings and the fiasco at court, they are likely to stay low-key for a while. Their shareholders hate scandals, and Ward Donnelly is under investigation for conspiracy. They've got bigger fires to put out. Relief mingles with a lingering sadness. Charlotte sets down her lemonade. It's good, but it still hurts. You know, she sighs. I loved Holden once. What a fool I was. Linda wraps an arm around her daughter's shoulders. Not a fool, just someone who trusted too deeply. Harriet nods, eyes glimmering with empathy. You have a beautiful future ahead, Char. That's what matters now. Charlotte strokes her belly, feeling the baby's soft flutter. She closes her eyes, remembering the humiliations, the heartbreak, the smear campaigns, but also remembering the unstoppable surge of strength she discovered. She stands here now, battered but unbroken, determined to give her child a loving world. Outside, the sun dips below the horizon, washing the sky in gentle hues of pink and gold. A subtle reflection of the new day dawning in Charlotte's life, not perfect but peaceful and brimming with possibility. The next morning, Charlotte steps out onto the porch. A crisp breeze rustles the trees, leaves fluttering like tiny flags of renewal. She cradles her belly, feeling the baby press against her hand. Each movement assures her. We made it through. She hears footsteps behind her. It's Harriet holding a padded envelope with no return address. This came in the mail for you, she says, curiosity piqued. Charlotte tears it open carefully. Inside is a single photograph and a note on plain paper. The photo, a grainy image of a well-dressed man in an upscale lounge, turned partially away from the camera. There's something oddly familiar about his silhouette. The note reads, he's back and he knows everything. Good luck. Charlotte's stomach knots. Harriet peers over her shoulder. Who is that? Charlotte strains to see more detail in the photo. The man's features are blurred, but the posture, the stance, a memory stirs from her past. She dated a man before Holden. His name was Graham Ellis. The relationship ended abruptly when her father died. Could it be him? Her heart races. I'm not sure, she whispers, though. Part of her suspects. She flips the note, but no more clues appear. Harriet looks uneasy. Could this be another threat from Cross Holdings? Charlotte shakes her head. I don't think so. The message feels different. Personal. Why would they mention he knows everything? A flicker of dread creeps in. She recalls the tabloid rumors about her ex potentially being the baby's father. Rumors she dismissed as a cross scheme. But what if someone from her past is re-emerging, possibly with a different agenda? She glances at Harriet. This can't be a coincidence, right? The note arrives just when the legal battle settles, as if someone wants to stir new chaos. Harriet's brow furrows. Whatever it is, we'll handle it. But you be careful. Okay? Charlotte nods, slipping the photo and note back into the envelope. Her heart is pounding, though she tries to keep calm for the baby. She can't shake the sense of foreboding. Later, she calls Martin, but he has no immediate insight. Send me a photo of that note, he says. I'll see if my investigator can trace it, but it might be a dead end or a cruel prank. Charlotte rubs her temple. She hopes it's just a prank. She's had enough heartbreak for one lifetime. But the gnawing feeling in her gut says otherwise. This is a new threat, or at least a new mystery tethered to a past she thought was long buried. By dusk, Charlotte stands in the nursery again, gazing at the painted clouds. She draws a deep breath, trying to push away the chill of unease. She reminds herself of how far she's come escaping Holden's manipulations, securing her baby's future, finding an unexpected circle of support. Yet the note's cryptic words echo in her mind. He's back, and he knows everything. A sense of unfinished business lingers an open loop she can't close tonight. As the final rays of sunlight dim, she gently touches her belly and whispers, I will protect you no matter what. We're stronger than they think.